Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We're going to be talking Pogba, Grealish, Rice, a little bit about Sancho, a bit about Kane, also Varane, loads. Henderson offers coming in as well. Lots to get into this morning. Just want to start off with a bit of a positive though and say, I know a lot of you will have watched Paul Pogba play last night for France, but I mean, what a shame. What a shame that Manchester United in 5 years have never realised that surrounding Paul Pogba with quality midfielders gets the best out of Paul Pogba. And I'm not going to go down the route of, well, Pogba should be able to perform anyway. Yeah, any player should perform anyway. But does De Bruyne get thrown into a Stoke City midfield by Pep? Or does he get quality players around him? If you want to... I disagree with that. You know, Lionel Messi with Barcelona is going to be a better player than he is with Stoke. Paul Pogba is going to be a better player with better players around him than not. And what the stick that some people want to sort of hit in this topic is that, well, Pogba should be able to perform whether he's got McTominay and Fred with him or Kante. Well, that's bollocks. Of course he's going to perform better with Kante than McTominay and Fred. But unfortunately, Manchester United in 5 years have never realised that getting the best out of Paul Pogba means having a good midfield with him. We've never quite got it right. And it's such a shame because you see him, he's happier, he's more confident when he's got those players around him. Just wanted to bring that in. This is why we should have signed Kante, says Gabriel Noel. So look, Paul Pogba, there is a bit of a transfer concern around Paul Pogba. I'm sure some of you saw it in ESPN yesterday. They're basically saying what I've been talking about and you've been talking about for quite a few months on here, that there's a fear at Manchester United that Paul Pogba's going to run his contract down because there are clubs who are not interested in buying him this summer but are very interested in getting him next summer. PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, all very interested in Paul Pogba but all looking to wait a year. And this worries Manchester United because if they're going to sell him, they've got to sell him this summer. If they're going to get him on a new contract, what are they going to sell him to get a new contract? As we just said, how can you get Paul Pogba to sign a new contract at United? We're going to build a big team, Paul. We're going to build a team around you. Yeah, you said that 5 years ago. You still haven't done it. In a year, I'll be a very rich man at any club I want to be at, and you want me to commit my final years to Manchester United? Forget about it. So I don't think that Pogba will sign the new contract, but it doesn't look like anyone's going to buy him this year. They're going to wait a year because he'll be cheap and free. So this issue that I've spoken about and you've spoken about for quite a while now is that Pogba will probably run his contract down next year. United finally awaking to that prospect, and it is a concern. Hi Mark, what player leaving United upset you the most? Says Jay Delmar. Beckham, Ronaldo. I think I was quite young when Beckham left, though, to be fair. I think the Ronaldo one really got me. I wasn't that young, to be fair. The Ronaldo one really bothered me because we just got to the Champions League final. He was the best player in the world for me. And, I knew that United would never be the same. But, so it hurt. And he wasn't going towards the end of his career. He was still very young when he went as well, so that was a shame. Look, I just want to bring in about Jack Grealish. I'm a little bit late this morning. People say you're always late. I'm a little bit late this morning because there is some news coming in from The Athletic. I read it on the Twitter account at the United Journal, so shout out to them. Quoting some quotes from The Athletic, who are basically saying that Jack Grealish might already be a United player had Villa not stayed up. Grealish was their number one target earlier that season. Relegation would have seen his price fall to around 40 million. But Villa set a fee nearly double after staying up. That's true. That's a true story. Grealish would have been a United player last summer if Villa had got relegated. I mean, I like Villa. I don't want them to get relegated, but it would have been better for United because we would have got Grealish. But, I don't. To be honest with you, I like Villa. I'm not going to say I wish they got relegated so we got Grealish, but if it had happened, we would have got him. But the latest is that Jack Grealish harbours strong ambitions to compete in the Champions League, which he does, and Manchester United are once again keeping communications open. Now, look, United, Grealish, United, Sancho, it's the old boat again. And I didn't dream about a shark last night. If you know, you know. But look, we've got three major holes in our team. Creativity, the midfield, centre-back. If we spend a load of money on creativity and not as much on a centre-back and nothing on the midfield, that boat still sinks. It's not... I know some of our fans, I know there's people in the chat now that are saying, if you get Grealish and Sancho, it's over. We're going to win the league. That's all I want. That's all I want. And I sort of understand that, but it's got no depth. The only thing that's got depth is your sinking ship because we still got no midfield. We've still got no midfield. We've seen this season, we scored loads of goals this season, but we didn't finish anywhere near a title. You've got to build a team. And I think Sancho and Grealish would be a mistake because where's the rest of the money? If we're getting Sancho, Grealish, Rice and Varane, happy days. It's party time. But that's not going to happen, is it? So United keeping communications open for Jack Grealish, according to The Athletic. Look, I would love that to happen. I would love Grealish at United. I think he's one of the most exciting players in world football at the moment. I'd love to get him. But how are we going to do that deal? And also, what I would say is that if Pogba goes this summer, would we even have the money to get Grealish and Sancho anyway? I think Pogba's going to run his contract down. So Pogba out, Grealish in. On paper, that sounds perfect if Pogba wants to go. And I'd love Pogba to stay, by the way. But if he wants to go, and I think he does, Pogba out, Grealish in. Brilliant. Absolutely perfect replacement. I'd go for that. I'm not saying Grealish is better than Pogba, but who is? So I think I'd love Grealish at United. The problem we're going to have is that I read something this morning. I think it was on the That's Football Twitter account, and they were quoting, I can't remember who it was, but they were basically saying that City are working hard to clear and generate cash to buy Grealish and Kane. But they will get rid of, I mean, Man City are title winners. No one's going to not queue up if they want to sell Bernardo Silva for 50 million or they want to sell Jesus for 40 million. They can, and that's just two players off the top of my head. City can generate, and also they've moved Aguero out, big wages. City can generate money and are looking to generate money to buy players. United, we've got more dead wood than a bloody forest's cemetery. It does that make sense? I'm trying to think of dead wood, trees, cemetery. Not my best, but the reality is, Man United have got so much dead wood. Why are we not getting rid of it? Like, move it on. I mean, look, there's talk this morning that United will listen to offers for Dean Henderson. I think they'll listen to offers for David De Gea as well. You remove one of those goalkeepers, 40 million. You remove Lingard, who lots of people want. That's another 20 million. That's 60 million. 60 million. Get rid of Delot and Pereira. That's 80 million. That's Jack Grealish. And you've not gone into your budget at all. So United need to be working better. And it's interesting because the Manchester Evening News, I don't want to talk about Sancho massively this morning, but it's interesting because the Manchester Evening News, they're talking about and how would Rashford get into a team with Grealish and Sancho, says Tom Curtis. I don't care about that. I don't care about that, Tom. I don't think anybody cares about that. At the end of the day, competition for places is good. Nobody should rest on their laurels at Manchester United. If you get competition for places, you've got competition for places. I remember in the early 90s, we had a young, good winger called Lee Sharp. Ryan Giggs came along. We had two wingers. We tried to play them left and right. Kanchelskis came in. One of them's got to be benched. It's the way of the world. That's the way it's going to be. But I read something this morning. I think it was Manchester Evening News saying that United very confident that they're going to get Sancho, but the feeling is the longer this goes on, the more problems they might have. And this morning, I mean, I tweeted something last night. I think it was from Build, the United report, saying that the price that they want for Sancho is 90 million euros plus 25 million euros in add-ons, which is about 80 million plus 20 million. And I just said, bullshit. This is bullshit. Like, the price that's been put out there by loads of credible people is 80 million. If we're thinking of giving Dortmund 80 million plus add-ons, or they want 80 million plus add-ons, walk away. For God's sake, just walk away. You cannot keep getting bent over and taking 6 weeks to do it. You can't do that. I don't think there's a United fan out there that would moan if we walked away from the Sancho deal because they want 80 million plus another 20. He's not a £100 million player. Not in this market. He's not a £100 million player. And he's got 2 years left on his deal, which also makes him not a £100 million player. If we want to pay £100 million for Sancho and we're considering doing it, don't do it. But the worst thing about that is, if Dortmund want 80 million and United are going to pay 80 million, that deal can get done relatively quickly. If it's 80 million plus 20, we're going to be negotiating this deal until the back arse of July, and then we'll give them 80 million plus 20 anyway. Just get out of that deal. Get away from it. If they want stupid money, get out of it. Let's not have another repeat of last summer. And that's basically what the Manchester Evening News is saying, is that, look, there's confidence a deal can be done, but the longer it doesn't happen, the more problematic it becomes. And if Dortmund are playing silly beggars again, get out of the deal. And you know what? At what point does Jadon Sancho come out and say, look, I'm not going through this again. Stop pissing about. I want to leave this club. So United need to just get moving on some of these deals. Morning, Mark. Realistic price if we sell Pogba, would you take 30 million for him, says Mikhail Roach. I think we might have to, Mikhail. I think we might have to do that because he's going to go for free. Ollie can dream about Sanchi, Greeley and Varane over the back of his RC while we run out of time and end up with Freddie and Mackie again, says Divansh. More deadwood than a lumberjack's wet dream, says Andrew Baines. High five. He's on it. Well done, Andrew Bain. So, so look, I would love Jack Grealish to come to Manchester United. I've even got the claret red on today to say come to United, Grealish. But I don't see that United are going to be able to do that deal because they seem to be balls deep in the Jadon Sancho deal at the moment. And God only knows how long that's going to happen. It's not going to happen very, very quickly, is it? But I hope everyone's waking up to the fact, the exciting fact that the Euros are 48 hours away, but the reality fact that Man United are signing nobody before the Euros. And as I said last night, I just don't think anything is changing in relation to United. Anyway, there's a couple of updates I need to bring you from The Athletic. These are brand new. I mean, these weren't even on my list to talk about, so these are brand new things. Manchester United, Chelsea and Man City are thought to be in contention for Declan Rice. Manchester United and City are also believed to be considering making an offer. That's from The Athletic. Well, as we know with Declan Rice, and you can wrap this up, send it for Christmas, this is absolutely 100% nailed on fact. If Chelsea want Rice and they bid for Rice, Rice will go to Chelsea. So forget anything else. If Chelsea don't go for Rice, game on. I think Declan Rice would go to Man United. He would go to Manchester City. His ideal option is Chelsea. But if Chelsea don't go for him, then Man United and Man City have got an opportunity. So that's the hurdle we need to jump first. I mean, there's a lot of hurdles to jump for some of these some of these deals. Sancho's an easy deal. United just are playing, please, Dortmund, please. Varane's a very hard deal to do, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Declan Rice is a very hard deal to do because you've got to jump the Chelsea hurdle and then you've got to take on Man City. You've got to agree a fee with West Ham, who want silly money. And I would love Declan Rice at United, but I think it's a very hard deal to do. In some ways, Declan Rice would be the signing of the summer for me. I said this today. Somebody put a picture up of Sancho, Varane, Trippier, and I can't remember who the other player was. It was 4 players, but none of them were midfielders. And they said, what a summer that would be. And I said, it's not a good summer. That's a failure. Where's the midfielder? If you don't get a midfielder, you don't build a team. And if you don't build a team, you don't progress. To me, Declan Rice is, or someone of that quality is the signing that I say that's a good summer. And I've said it so many times. I know people agree. I know people disagree. But for me, this summer is about whether we get a midfielder. Talking of which, The Athletic in the same article say Manchester United are keeping tabs on John McGinn. He's not thought to be high up on any of the club's shortlists for a defensive midfielder, but he's held in high regard by United's technical director, Darren Fletcher. This is what happens when you give jobs to mates. John McGinn. Now, I remember when Villa got promoted a couple of years ago, I spoke about John McGinn and I said, I do like the look of him. Let's see what he does in the Premier League. Because some people on the chat, I remember 2 years ago, Villa had just been promoted and a lot of people in the chat were saying McGinn's a good player. And I said, I like the look of McGinn. Let's see what he's like. And I thought for the first 6 weeks of the season, I thought he was really good. But over the 2 years in the Premier League, I just think he's a good player. I think Ward-Prowse is better. So I don't want McGinn at United. I don't think he's a top 4 player. I would argue, is he better than McTominay? Probably, but I don't think he's the quality of player that Manchester United need. Maybe people disagree with me, but I mean, I don't want us to be looking at him. If we sign Sancho and a Torres or White with no midfielder, then we're no better off 4th place at best. Wake up United, says Andrew Lees. Hi Mark, how many signings do you think Man United will do? Says Jeffrey. I think I'm not including Tom Heaton, so I'm going to say 3. Probably Trippier, centre-back and Sancho. I'm not convinced about this midfielder. I hope I'm wrong. What's crazy... And also, we're going to run out of time. You're basically... What's going to happen is we're going to get to the start of July with no signings. So then what you're saying is we're going to make 4 signings in 8 weeks. History says not. Mark, what's crazy is City is ripping up their team to find their transfers. That's how a club should be run. They're willing to sell 6 players at the start, says MG. And this is a Man City side that could have won a treble. This is a Man City side that lost the Champions League final. This is a Man City side that comfortably won the Premier League and Pep's rebuilding it. That is what big teams do. When Grealish signed his 5-year contract, we promised him we'd add quality around him. We're keeping that promise and being very proactive this window, says Jay, who's a Villa fan. Look, Jay, I think the only concern is probably what that press report said, is if Grealish wants to play Champions League football, Villa can't offer him that. But, I would agree with you, Jay. I think Villa's transfer activity over the last 12 months has been very good. Martinez at goalkeeper was a very good signing. Matty Cash, Ollie Watkins, you've gone and got Bendia. There's links to Ward-Prowse. I don't know what's happening with Barkley, but you have got some good players as well. I mean, look, Villa are a team that, you look at it next season, if you keep Grealish, you'd certainly expect to be in the top half of the table again. Not top 6, but top half of the table. The problem you've got, Jack Grealish is a very, very talented player, and he should be playing Champions League football. And can Villa offer that? But look, he might be loyal. He loves Villa. He might be loyal. They can swap Pogba for good players. Verratti maybe, says Anarud. I mean, I would do that deal. I would like to do that deal. And just the final story from The Athletic before I move on to the stuff I've put down. Manchester United had Harry Kane on their list after Erling Haaland, but it's unclear if they would move for him this summer. And some sources think United would prefer Kane to replace Edison Cavani next summer at a more reasonable price. And that is from The Athletic. I mean, look, it just seems to me that how many more stories... How many more stories are we going to get about Manchester United being linked to strikers? I mean, this morning alone, you've got Sancho, Kane, Grealish, and nothing about midfielders. And I just wonder what are we getting to a point now where we can start to sort of suspect that Solskjaer is obsessed with buying forwards? Class interview with Ben Foster yesterday, says Annie. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Check it out on the homepage if you've not seen it. I don't see United signing anyone that goes into the first team bar Sancho, if that even happens. Monitoring everyone FC, says Keegan. I think this has been going on for a couple of months now. There just seems to be, even with Cavani staying, an obsession with buying a striker, Sancho. We're now being linked to Grealish. It's like... Richie says if we don't sign a CDM, it's on Ollie. But I am a little bit concerned about that, to be honest. This constant link to forwards. Is it because Solskjaer was a forward? I don't know. I don't know what it's all about. I mean, he played with people like Roy Keane. He knows how important a midfielder is. I haven't listened to the Muppeteers podcast yet, Nick, so I can't really mention anything in the show, although I'm in a group chat with them, so I pretty much know what's been said. And I think that basically what Romano is saying is that Trippier can happen, Sancho can happen, but it's not going to happen yet. And United are very interested in Varane, which is true. And also, just to bring Varane in, because I said I would mention that, Manchester Evening News saying that Manchester United are obsessed. I don't think they use the words obsessed. Manchester United's priority is to bring a centre-back in who's a first-choice centre-back with Harry Maguire. Which is good news. We do need to do that. Who that's going to be, I can't give you that information on the centre back. And the reality is, anybody I speak to can't give it either. So anybody who says they know who the centre back that United want, I think is a liar. And look, I don't like calling people liars, but I think that they do. They are, because the reality is, we know we want Sancho, we know we want Trippier. We don't even. I suspect we're not even going to buy a midfielder, so forget that. So basically, Trippier, Sancho and a centre-back. Well, we know we want Sancho, we know we want Trippier, but nobody knows what centre-back we want. And I think that's because United don't know. And I think that's because United want Varane. But Varane is a hard deal to do. It's a bit like Declan Rice. Varane is going to be offered another contract by Madrid. If he doesn't take that, then it's an open race with United, maybe a Chelsea, maybe a PSG, maybe somebody else. I don't know. Then you've got to deal with Real Madrid once you've got Varane. So it's there's at least 3 big hurdles to jump to get Varane. I think United are willing to try and jump them. They'll probably just run straight. Like I've got to jump a hedge. United would probably just run straight into it and get stuck in the hedge at the first hurdle. But they're going to try. And I think that's what's happening with the centre-back at the moment. And I think centre-back is probably something that's not going to happen till the end of July at the earliest. Because if you think about it, we don't know the centre-back that we want at the moment. The centre-backs that we're looking at are all in the Euros, really. I mean, even Tyrone Mings and Ben White are in the Euros. So look, it's quite a broad scope there. You've got Mings, White, Varane, Torres, Koundé. So we've got 5 in the Euros, and it probably is one of those 5 that we're going to end up with. But it's not going to be till the end of the July, because they're going to be playing in the Euros till start of July, holiday, negotiations, could be August. I mean, the centre-back could be August, which means they won't even be here for the start of the season. They won't be here to train with the team. So the centre-back looks like a bit of a mess, really. But we're definitely looking at one, and I definitely think we will buy one. But, I mean, having said that, we might not buy one. We always say, I don't get this. I mean, Edward Walters says, leopards don't change their spots. The Glazers are not businessmen, they're frauds. Spend short-term, long-term, more faith in Brentford to do better business. And that's from Edward Walters. We've got more deadwood than a sunken pirate ship. I like that one, Gavin Blake. I tell you what, you lot should write my analogies. Be brilliant. In fact, I should write my analogies, because doing them off the top of my head, you end up with more dead wood than a forest cemetery, which actually, when you say it quick, isn't bad. It's not bad. I just stuttered on it. But no, I just wanted to say there, you know, we're all sat here going, we're going to get Sancho, we're going to get Trippier, and we're going to get a centre-back and hopefully get a CDM. Where is this coming from? You know, when you actually, hello, is there anything in there? Why are we thinking that we're going to do that when evidence suggests not? We're all saying we're going to get a centre-back, but we don't know what centre-back it's going to be. But I remember Mourinho. I remember Van Gaal. I remember Ollie. Like, we've gone into summers, most summers, going, we're going to get this, we're going to get that. And then you hit August and you're like, it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. Maybe we don't even get a centre-back. Maybe we want Varane. We don't get Varane, and that's it. It's happened before. I think we're all being very optimistic. If we don't get Varane, we'll get Torres. If we don't get that, we'll get Koundé. We'll get somebody. But maybe we don't get anybody. Because maybe United go all in for Varane. They don't get him. And then they're like, oh, that's it. You just have to use Bailly and Lindelof again and keep Tuan Sebi. So, and we've saved a bit of money. So I've got no confidence, really, in United doing anything. I believe, I don't even believe, I hope and would suspect that we will get a centre-back, we will get Trippier, and we will get Sancho. But, who's to say that anything can collapse with United? Are you worried about third season blues for Ali, says Anarud? I think it's a massive season, Anarud, yes. Hi, Mark. Can you get Karaki to say happy birthday to Taylor and call him a prat? Well, I can't, Farbod, I can't get Karaki. I can't get Karaki to wish you a happy birthday, but I'll do it. Happy birthday to Taylor. You're a prat. Pains me to admit this, but if you're Varane and you see Pogba, a national teammate who wants to leave United, it doesn't give the best impression to us. I mean, that's interesting from Zane Casey as well. He's going to be spending a month with Paul Pogba. I'm sure they're going to sit down and he's going to say, look, I'm leaving Real Madrid. I'm thinking about coming to United. And Pogba's probably just going to, after about 10 minutes of laughing and a drink of water, he'll probably say, yeah, I wouldn't bother with that. Or, on the other hand, we could all dream, Pogba signs a new contract, says, come and join me. Hey, Mark, Euros is... And I do want Pogba to stay, by the way. I mean, Man United's midfield is shit. Without Paul Pogba, it's even worse. Hey, Mark, Euros is what the Glazers want. We will be linked to every Tom and Harry. Let's be honest, we wouldn't have signed anyone before the Euros. If we are left with Winks and McGinn, who's better, says Amit. It's not a debate I really want to get into, Winks or McGinn. I don't mind either player, but I don't think either are good enough for what United need. If Ollie can't even see our midfield problem, then I'm sorry, he should be out. That's from Minnie. Buying Sancho is like shopping for a designer jacket when you aren't wearing any trousers, says Lee Shenton. I'm loving some of this morning. Big up to yourselves. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. All United fans chuck a fiver in and sign Kante once Rice goes to Chelsea, says Joe. Kante at Man United would be fantastic. I would absolutely love that. But you know what? Going back to that previous comment there, it does sort of fit in with what the cynic in me has been saying. Remember last week when there were a lot of people were saying, Sancho can happen before the Euros. And I was like, look, to be fair, people have said that to me, that it can happen before the Euros. But what did I say? I don't think it'll happen. I never thought Sancho was going to happen before the Euros. I hoped it was going to happen, but I never thought it was going to happen because I've been down this road so many times. I know the colour on every door. And the reality is, and the colour of the garage. I know everything about this road because I've been on it before. And to me, I just think that previous comment's right. The Euros is a massive opportunity for United to get linked to every... Imagine if an Austrian striker... An Australian ain't going to score a hat-trick in the Euros. Imagine an Austrian striker scores a hat-trick in the Euros. United will be in for him. A Danish midfielder runs the game against, Holland or whoever's in their group. Oh, United are in for him. We're going to get linked to every bloody player. Of course. And United have got TeamViewer, a new kit at the end of the Euros. Like, this was always going to happen. This was always the fantasy of Manchester United Football Club. I mean, they've got a website, and on the website they do transfer news. I mean, where has football gone when an official website of a football club has a transfer news page? I mean, have you ever heard such nonsense in all your life? They're generating traffic from bullshit news that they know is not true. But they love all this. The social media interaction, we're massive on TikTok. So United, this last 2 weeks for United has been brilliant. So much interest in the club and Sancho. Oh, this is brilliant. Don't sign him though. Keep this going for another 6 weeks. So I never thought United was signing anybody before the Euros. I always thought this was about getting Positivity are back around the club. It's almost like it's a 6-week plan. Joel Glazer meets the United fans, tells them a load of nonsense. Sancho, going to happen before the Euros, get a load of positivity, keep it pumping up through the Euros, where there's going to be loads and loads of interaction. And then at the end of the Euros, new kit, Sancho, bang. We've just absolutely owned the summer. High five, bankers. You know, I think it... And fair play to them. I saw it coming a long time ago. I think even when the protests were on, we were talking about this. This summer is a massive chance for United to grab hold of this Glazer out movement and chuck it in the bin, because there's no fans at the ground. There's no matches. All it is social media, and United couldn't give a toss about Glazer out trending on Twitter. It's happened every year for probably 20 years, 16 years. What they cared about was physical presence at the ground, at the hotel. That was bothering them because that grabs the world media eye. On the summer, they can play the game, and I think they are going to play the game. And we haven't got any players before the Euros, and I'm surprised that people actually fell for the fact that they thought that we would. I think we will get players. I just think it will be in July when the new kit comes out, and I always thought that. If Ollie can't even see our midfield problem, I've done that one. And Ollie mentioned to the Norwegian outlet that he still wants a striker. Josh King is free. This only end one's. I mean, Zane, if we get Josh King, I've been trying to avoid that for it. I mean, he's not even... The thing about Josh King is, if he went to Villa as a backup striker, that's fine. And that's no disrespect to Villa, but he won't start for Villa. He's a bench player. If he comes to Manchester United, he wasn't even good enough for Everton. Why would you put Josh King on the bench? I'd rather put Charlie McNeil or Joe Hugel on there. Because at least they, whilst not being ready, are talents for the future that, you know, we're actually heading in the right direction. But Josh King at 29, oh, come on. Forget about it. I've got a horrible feeling our targets will be based on who does well at the Euros. Marcus Rojo style, a few wieldy performances, says Nick P. And what's the latest news on Sancho, says Aiden 10. I don't think anybody really wants to know the latest news on Sancho, Aiden. But the latest news on Sancho is that it's not going to happen before the Euros, and that United are negotiating a fee. And that fee could go... I read something this morning about the end of August. I mean, I'm just like... I'm not interested if this is going to go on and on and on. I'm really not. Other things to talk about. Varane, we've spoken about. Manchester Evening News, just on Sancho, says United feel that they're in control of the Sancho deal at the moment, but they could miss out if it ends up going on longer, which is what we've basically spoken about. We've spoken about the first choice centre back. We've spoken about City raising funds for Kane and Grealish. Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from. I saw it on Twitter that Manchester United are open to offers for Dean Henderson this summer. I don't think that's true, by the way. I don't think that's true. I think that we had Ben Foster on yesterday, and I asked him that question. You know, who do we think that? I mean, do check the interview out because it's really good. But I did ask him that question about which way he thinks Ollie will go between Henderson and De Gea, and he said, look, I think he will go with Henderson, and that's what I've heard as well. Arpin says, I wouldn't be surprised if we failed again in the transfer market. I don't think anybody would be surprised. We're hoping not, but Cameron says, apparently Man United are leading the race for Varane, 50 million euros plus add-ons. I wouldn't believe that, Cameron. I wouldn't believe that, because I think the Varane transfer cannot be at that stage. It cannot be at that stage. And Nick says that apparently Fabrizio said Trippier won't be sold for less than 40 million euros. Well, we've got to get out of that deal then. We can't spend 30 million pounds on Kieran Trippier. 15 million is fair. You can't spend 30 million pounds. You just can't do that. It would be ridiculous. But in relation to the Varane race, look, don't go from one disappointment to another. Don't be on the two. There's a lot of United fans the last 2 weeks have been convinced that we're going to sign Sancho before the Euros, and you've been let down. Don't now jump on the Varane race that we're nearly going to buy him. The Varane transfer will be hard. It's with Real Madrid. We don't deal well with Real Madrid. He hasn't decided if he's leaving Real Madrid yet, although there are better offers out there, probably from United. Even if he does decide to leave, other clubs are going to want him, so we've got to compete with them, and he's going to talk to all those clubs, which is going to take time, and then we've got to deal with Real Madrid. How can we be at a point today where we're close to signing Varane when he's not decided his future? He's going to have to talk to all the clubs that want him, and then we're going to have to talk to Real Madrid. I'm saying end of July, at the earliest for Varane. So I'm not saying that we're not in for Varane. I think we are. But anyone who's talking about we're close to signing him or, transfer fees, no way. No way. And also, we're working on Sancho. We're not working on Varane. So, no, it won't happen. It's not going to happen very, very, very soon anyway. But on the Henderson thing, I don't know where people are now. Has the Europa League final, has missing a penalty and not saving a penalty, has that changed your opinion on who should be United's number one next season? I mean, we've not really discussed it. We sort of parked the season and moved on, didn't we? I was so disappointed. It's interesting because speaking to Drawty, and he was saying that, De Gea's penalty record is shocking, which it is. But I said, at the end of the day, are you going to get rid of De Gea just because he's not very good at penalties? Because actually, there's not that, how many penalty shootouts do you have? Not many. You can always sub your goalkeeper for that as well. And in the game, all right, you might concede, 3 or 4 penalties in a season? I mean, I think De Gea look at that Roma performance. So for me, I'm still very much De Gea should be our goalkeeper. I think I even said it to Ben Foster yesterday. Henderson reminds me of Ben Foster with that keeper that, fantastic keeper, but is he ready to be United goalkeeper? Is he that quality to be United keeper? And I think there's just big risks with Dean Henderson. And Ben Foster was saying that yesterday as well. He said, look, the difference of playing for United and anybody else is that, you start second guessing yourself. And we saw that with Henderson in that Liverpool game. And, the angles on the Salah shot. And Ben was saying, Dean Henderson knows the angles. He's just second guessed himself and got himself in a bit of a mess. And, next season we're going to have fans in the ground. Will that make him better? Will it make it worse? It might make him better. But my issue is, I still think David De Gea is a safer pair of hands than Dean Henderson. But I think that Ollie will go with Dean Henderson and take that risk. And, I think Ollie does take risks. Sometimes I think those risks are wrong. And if he gets this wrong, it could be the end of Ollie. So I would go with De Gea because, don't think anyone can really criticise him for that. I'm now convinced we will end up with Diego Costa, says Abigel. And gem of an interview with Ben. His and his teammates' view on McSauce surprised me. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to closely watch him. Hey, you know what, on McTominay, I think there is a player there. I just don't think as a fan you should feel guilty if you've criticised him. It's been well known for a long time that people like Solskjaer, Mourinho, Carrick, Sir Alex Ferguson, opposition players have come out and said he's a good player. I just don't think he shows that. And maybe it's because he's playing out of position. I mean, I've always said this, McTominay's not a holding midfielder. He does more of his damage when he's allowed to stretch his legs. He's a powerful player. Not allowed to do that in a holding midfield position with Fred, is he? So maybe that's the issue. And Sergio Romero is bloody good at saving penalties and we let him go. De Gea in, says Tabo. Look, will we listen to, the interesting thing is, I think we'll keep Henderson and move De Gea on, but from a business point of view, all right, De Gea's on bigger wages, so maybe that's why they want to get rid of him. But no one's going to buy De Gea. So what we're going to do with De Gea is probably loan him out, but still pay his wages, and then go with Henderson. From a business point of view, keeping De Gea and selling Henderson is probably easier because I think there's more clubs willing to buy Henderson than there is to buy De Gea. Because if you buy De Gea, you've got to give United, say, 40 million, and then you've got to pay him 350 grand a week. If you buy Henderson, you've got to give United, say, 40 million, but you pay him 140 grand a week. So the Henderson, and he's younger. So Dean Henderson is probably an easier player to sell. I think I think United do need to sell one of them. So whatever's going to happen, what will annoy me the most, if Dean Henderson's number one next year, I'll back Dean Henderson because that's what should happen. But what I won't back is if we put Dean Henderson number one and then we loan De Gea out and pay his wages. That's just idiotic. That's the same as last season. We're spending £500,000 on 2 goalkeepers. One of them must be sold this summer. Sell them and use the money to buy a midfielder or whoever. One of them's got to go. And to be honest with you, if it's Henderson, it's Henderson. If it's De Gea, I think it's a mistake, but it's De Gea. But one of them's got to go. And that money needs to be used elsewhere because ultimately we don't need 2 goalkeepers of that quality. PSG are getting Donnarumma, aren't they? So, I think PSG were one of the few clubs that I think that could have bought De Gea. There's no club in world football that can buy David De Gea. COVID market or not, I don't think there was, but not in a COVID market. Who is going to pay David De Gea 350k a week and give us 40 million? No one's going to do it. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think there will be more offers for Henderson than De Gea because of the price. But we'll see what happens. I personally think it will be the other way around, but who knows how it's going to work out. De Gea should sign for AC Milan. Well, they haven't got the money. We might go and send him out on loan, but I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to send a player on loan and then pay their wages. We would remove De Gea from the squad for a year, but pay him probably 250 grand a week and get. I mean, actually, we might end up. What could AC Milan or Roma afford wages wise? They could probably only afford 50, 70 a grand, maybe 100 grand maximum. We'd therefore be paying David De Gea £275,000 a week, and he wouldn't even be here. You know, that's 12 million in a year, more than 12 million. You can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot do that. We did it with Sanchez. We did it with Sanchez and Inter Milan. We were paying hundreds of thousands of pounds a week to a player that was playing for somebody else. You can't do that. You can't do that. And if Maguire, if De Gea goes on loan, we will be paying at least 275 grand a week of his wages, and he won't even be here. So we can't do that. But we will. We probably will do it. But that's what the reality is if that happens. Another absolutely ridiculous decision. Hasn't Grealish said he's staying at Villa, says Kian? I don't know. I'd rather he stayed at Villa, to be honest, because I don't think United will get him. And if he goes to another Premier League club, they're going to be massively improved. So I hope that Grealish does stay at Villa, because I don't want him to leave Villa, because I don't think he will come to United anyway. So I hope he does stay at Villa. And I think CY is right. De Gea's only problem is his wages, not his ability. I mean, David De Gea was brilliant against Roma. That's one of the best goalkeeping performances I've seen in a long time. Really is. Anyway, that's your latest update today on all the news. Quite a lot of news there. A bit of a longer show because of the Athletic update and the Grealish stuff, but lots and lots in there. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. We will be back again at 8 o'clock, and obviously if anything goes on today. Unfortunately, I think there was a lot of hope that today we could be going, hey, it's Sancho. I mean, I never believed it. I know some of you did. Nothing wrong with you if you did, but it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen, and I think we are going to have a Euros full of speculation and not actual, you know, as the great Elvis Presley once said, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. But at United, it's just conversation. Elvis would be fuming. He'd be fuming, but it is what it is. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner, and tick your notifications, because when we go live, you'll get your notifications then. I'll speak to you a little bit later. Have a great day. It's a lovely sunny day in the UK, so if you're out and about, take care. Put your sun cream on. Social distance as well. COVID's still out there. Take care, stay safe, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.